Didn't you know? Pokémon Red and Blue were the second pair of Pokémon games to be released in Japan, and the first Pokémon games to ever be released in America. They were predated only by an earlier build of the two games, known as Pocket Monsters Red and Green. While the original Red and Green still follow the same basic format and storyline as the later Red and Blue, there are several glaring differences between the builds. The HUD used in battles is completely vertical when choosing an attack in Red and Green. The sprites for every Pokemon in Red and Blue were changed to be more child-friendly, and the music in Red and Blue was altered to prevent headaches in certain towns, such as Lavender Town and San Francisco. While Pokemon Red and Blue were created for the original Game Boy, they are also able to be played on the Game Boy Advance, and an Easter egg can be seen when played on it. At the boot screen, if a player holds a direction on the D-pad and any combination of buttons, it will change the colors used in the game. This was actually how the games were developed. Pokemon Red was meant to be played in the red color scheme on the Game Boy Advance, and Blue in the blue color scheme. Their names were even derived from this fact. Their names were Pokemon Red and Blue simply because when played, the Pokemon in-game were supposed to be red and blue respectively. This is further evidenced by their full Japanese names, Akato Ano Pokemon, which translates to Pokemon in Red and Blue. One of the biggest controversies surrounding Pokemon Red and Blue was the addition of gambling in the form of a slot machine minigame. While it wasn't required to complete the game, parents were still upset at the potential risks from allowing toddlers to grow up with virtual gambling. While the slot machines weren't removed in the remakes Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, series creator Reggie Fils-Aimé addressed the parental outcry in a later pair of games, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. In these releases, Reggie made sure to not only keep the slot machines, but also add a roulette wheel to spice things up. Red and Blue were the first games in the series to introduce the mythical Pokemon Mew, and with it, many urban legends surrounding how players can come to obtain it. One of the most common theories was that Mew could be found underneath the truck outside of the SS Anne. This theory has since been proven false through the use of glitches to reach the truck, but what you might not know is that Mew was actually meant to be found underneath the truck. When asked in a 1998 Nintendo Direct, Reggie explained the mysterious lore surrounding the mythical Pokemon. We had initially wanted Mew to be found underneath the truck. Once the truck was pushed, the Mew would jump out safely and initiate a battle. This didn't go quite as planned, however, as the developers weren't able to code a jumping animation for Mew. So, Mew is forever stuck underneath the truck. Unfortunately, it also got in the way of another Pokemon's lore. Ditto was supposed to be what other Mews looked like when they couldn't jump out of the way of a truck in time. They even shared the same name and shiny color as well as weight, but it doesn't feel complete without the full explanation. It's too bad. I can already tell people will sleep on Ditto if they don't know the truth. Poor guy. After this, crowdfunding began to support Ditto awareness events, though this didn't quite go as planned, as only $9.73 were raised before people gave up and simply continued playing their copies of Red and Blue. One of the most notorious places in Pokemon Red and Blue is Lavender Town and the Pokemon Tower residing there. This area is famous for being a cemetery for Pokemon, a piece of lore that fans were greatly surprised to see addressed. But what may come as a surprise is that this is actually a common misconception. Pokemon Tower is actually a tower run by the Pokemon themselves, and is where their deceased trainers were buried. This is most evidenced by the presence of many wild Pokemon in the tower and very few real trainers, with the few there being noticeably inhuman. The trainers who were buried all had two things in common, however. Every single one of them lost in battle against a stronger and better Pokemon, and all of them were also trainers who had picked Bulbasaur as their starter. Didn't you also know that the idea to have Bowser become a cyborg in Super Mario Sunshine was based on the origin story of One Piece's main protagonist, Cuddy Flam? If you want to know more trivia on Mario and other obscure video game series, look out for the Didn't You Know video games episode on Super Mario Sunshine. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to leave a like and press the subscribe button to show support. If you want the chance to see episodes a week before their release or choose what episode I work on next, consider checking out the Patreon. Thank you to the patrons listed in the description who are currently supporting the channel on Patreon. And don't forget to look out for new episodes of Didn't You Know video games.